if they were going to wander around the planet, what's a typical annual or monthly budget you shoot for in today's dollars?
I'd say I can get by on 1,000 US a month.
Okay. That's a number. That's a number I hear all the time, almost all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. You know, with a couple hundred more, you can really, you know, you don't have to worry about the money very much. But
when and where did you and I meet, Charles?
Well, we met, Dan, in Malaysia, in Sabah, the state of Sabah, at the 𝐶𝐴𝐿 Orangutan Sanctuary, just outside of the port town of Sandakan. Very, very nice place.
It was, and I'll never forget that place. The orangutans there really were heartwarming animals to watch.
No, it was excellent, excellent. And we ended up spending almost, just after we left there, we went into Sandakan, and that's when the Olympics were on. And I think we spent a week at a nice little guest house in downtown Sandakan. Okay.
And I went up north to Semporna and went to all the beaches there and went scuba diving from there. So
yes. Oh yeah, we followed you. We went down there remember you we stayed at the place where you stayed, actually.
Yeah.
In Semporna.
Yeah, and we of course been Facebook friends ever since. And whenever you post, I like it because you not only post pictures, but you'll post some information which will tell me something about where you are or something of interest. So it's not only visually pleasing, but it's also fun to learn something about the world.
Well, it's great. Yeah, I like writing those little things. It's mostly, you know, Wikipedia information and some personal stuff, but it's nice to put some verbiage along with the photos.
Well, the extra care is appreciated. So I think that was 2016 we met, wasn't it, Charles?
Yes, it was. We have been working up. Yeah, that's right. 2016. Must have been in our summer months, I guess.
Right. And so how many years have you been living mostly outside of the USA?
Well, perhaps since 1976, when I first graduated from university. I took off then. I spent maybe a year, 76, 77. I maybe spent a year in the States. And in the 90s, I spent 5 years there. And then there's been some other periods, 6 months here, a few months there, but mostly living outside. Oh, excuse me. There was another period in there, almost, well, that 5-year period, I guess there was a year I was in the Florida Keys working. So there's another year.
And so what areas of the world?
Not much of my life.
Yeah, not much at all. It sounds like less than a decade, maybe, after university. Probably. I did get enough in with the Social Security system that I do collect not the full amount, but I do collect some Social Security. So I did work some. So that so that must have been. I think that's like around 10 years or something like that. I don't know the exact, but
something like that. I had time in when I was like 16 to 25 different jobs I was paying in. So that helped me out a lot.
Right on. So so what areas of the world have you lived in or visited during that time? It's probably so extensive it would take the whole call just to talk about that.
Yeah, it's quite a bit, but I'd say up until from 76 to about 1990, I spent most of my time in Latin America, in Mexico. I studied in Mexico. I lived in Colombia for a year with the Peace Corps, Eastern Caribbean another couple of years, Ecuador shrimp farming a couple of years, Galapagos guiding, and then Puerto Rico, which is actually part of the United States. That was 5 years I spent there.
Wow. And that was through 90?
That was through 90. And then I had a short...
This is Dan of Vagabond Awake.
Please like this video, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. We'd sure appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Well, I guess better part of a year, I worked in Europe. I taught there and traveled around. And let's see, I guess from there is California, and then Southeast Asia. That was in 1996. And I think that was Southeast Asia, Taiwan. I was in Australia for a couple of years studying. I visited Nepal a number of times. And I think that was about 5 years where I did not set foot back in the US. And let's see, then after the Southeast Asia, then I went to the Middle East, and I spent 14 years, a year in Dubai and 14 years in Oman. And that brought us up to 2014. Then it was back to Southeast Asia again, Thailand, and that's when I met you in 2016.
Wow. And where are you now? How long will you be there, and where are you going next?
Yeah. Well, good question. Actually, I started out this last year. I was mostly in Mexico, some with my sister in California, and then I went to Kurdistan, Iraq, in January. I was supposed to be there through July, but of course COVID hit, and I was in Turkey, and I was back in Iraq again, and then to Egypt, and I got caught in Egypt. This is in March when the COVID hit heavily. And they closed down the whole country, and I was kicked out of my hotel, got sent up to Cairo. That was the only hotels, and I was there for a couple of weeks, sort of desperate. And luckily, I ran into some people, and they told me about a U.S. Embassy flight. So I flew back to the States, and I was there for several months, and then I came down here to Mexico about 2 months ago, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I'm staying, I guess I'm staying here in Mexico now.
Okay. And you're in Guanajuato right now, right?
I'm in Guanajuato. Yesterday, Guanajuato is a very nice city. And I came here just over, well, I guess it was over a year ago, going on 2 years ago. And I started this process to get a residency here in Mexico. And I just got my card yesterday. Oh. So it's a temporary residency. It's good for 3 years, and then we'll go from there.
Oh, wow. That's great. You've been teaching English all over the world for how long, Charles?
Well, more or less full-time since '95. I did do some teaching back when I was in the Peace Corps in the late '70s. In Colombia, but basically since '95, I taught in Thailand, I taught in Taiwan, I studied and taught in Australia, and then I went to the Middle East and was there, teaching English at mostly at universities. And the last gig was in Kurdistan, which probably the last teaching gig I'll do for teaching English at a university, the American University of Kurdistan.
Okay, and. And you've done some other things too, work-wise outside the U.S., haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I was in the Peace Corps. That was in the late '70s, early '80s, and I did fisheries work there. After that, I studied marine sciences in Puerto Rico, University of Puerto Rico, and I went after that master's degree and then some Europe time, and back to South America, and I did shrimp farming I was in Ecuador for a couple of years. About half that time was working in the shrimp farm industry.
Right.
And then I quit that and got a job as a guide, naturalist guide in the Galapagos Islands, which are part of Ecuador.
Some of my friends once in a while will call me, what was that character? Oh, it's the guy on Kung Fu, because I just kind of wandered around the planet. But I think you're even more like a Kung Fu in terms of you do everything outside. You even earn money in other countries. And so I'm curious though, and this is one of the things my audience is curious about, is if they were going to wander around the planet, what's a typical annual or monthly budget you shoot for in today's dollars to cover your rent and food and transportation, say over the last 5 years in dollar terms.
Right, right. Of course, it makes a lot if you're traveling in North America or Europe. Well, it's a lot more expensive. A lot more expensive. And I have done that kind of travel times when I had a surplus of money. But mostly I travel in poorer countries. And I would say, like right now in Thailand, where I live recently, and now in Mexico, staying in cheaper places, hostels and the like, and like the kind of place we stayed at the Sepalak, the orangutan sanctuary, I'd say I can get by on 1,000 US a month.
Okay. That's a number. That's a number I hear all the time, almost all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. You know, with a couple hundred more, you can really, you know, you don't have to worry about the money very much. But 1,000, you know, it's a tight budget. I'm careful with my money, but I can't complain.
Yeah, it's. I think it's. With the exception of some of the expensive countries to live in, I think it's not unusual to meet people that are able to do that. And the fact that you're, in today's dollars, been able to do that, honestly, forever, you know, is a testament to that. So do you typically buy a round-trip ticket when you fly, or are you more likely to move forward for weeks and months using ground transportation when you go to a different part of the world?
Well, the latter. I rarely do I buy a round-trip ticket. In fact, the last one I bought, I ended up lost. When I left Thailand, went back to the States, I thought I would go back to Thailand. I lost the other half of it. No, I usually buy, like now I came from the States to Mexico. I bought a one-way ticket into the country, and now it's pretty much all overland bus travel, buses, trains. I take flights occasionally, but a lot more overland travel, and very rarely do I get a round-trip ticket because I don't really know when and where I'm going to be.
Yeah, or how long you want to stay when you get there.
Or how long, yeah. Which is the beauty. Now that I'm retired, I don't have to worry so much about, well, I don't have to worry about work and money so much. And I've done this before for extended periods, but it's really nice to not have to be anywhere at any particular time, to be able to stay in a place as long as I want and go wherever I want and find out about new places. And oh yeah, I never heard of that, and I'll go there. In fact, you just last week you recommended, I was in San Miguel de Allende, and you recommended Querétaro, a fairly nearby city, a couple hours away. And yeah, I went, and it was great. Thank you for the advice.
Yeah, I knew if you liked San Miguel and you like Guanajuato, that you'd love Querétaro also. Those are three lovely places, and they're not far apart. And not surprised to hear. Yeah, Querétaro, I think they call it the Silicon Valley of Mexico, because a lot of the international electronics business flows through that area. So.
Yes, yeah.
It's a little more expensive than Guanajuato, but it's very beautiful.
Not bad. I had and of course, right now with COVID, prices are down. If anything, there's lots of specials, lots of hotels are advertising specials and things like that. And I guess I've been paying anywhere for hotels right now in Mexico, and there's plenty of space. I pay anywhere from 10, 15 US a night, 20 rarely, but occasionally on a weekend I might have to spend 20, but usually try to keep it closer to 10 rather than 20.
So would you say you're keeping within your 1,000-ish range right now on this trip? So Charles answers that question. In the next part, if you want to hear the next part, please say so below. Click and leave a comment where Charles speaks about his present cost of living on this go, and his how the process of getting a temporary resident visa, the costs and the requirements. He also talks about the anti-Americanism and whether or not he's experienced any as he's traveled around the world. And a lot of people worry about violence you know, if they were to leave the U.S. He also talks about what his perception of violence is also, since that's a big concern for people. And he speaks a bit about healthcare also. If all those things are interesting to you, make sure and click below, and I'll play the second half of this interview. Thanks for watching our video. Click the link in the notes below this video to get a copy of this content. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of retired cheap reports all over the world and our hobby income course that we just released. Thanks so much.